Hi there, Randi Gren here. Let's continue my little trying to explain to you some of the things that are going on here. And it's important for me to convey to you that I'm trying to do this in the most best way to present some very heavy issues, some very difficult issues, and the very fact that there are a lot of forces that wants this to play out differently. And I'm trying to take the stand and communicate with the ones that wants to prevent the worst case scenarios. So this is why we are choosing this angle of presenting things in a way where everybody get a bit of space to explain it from their angle. That's the best way to put it. And we can totally agree on, when we're done with this, that there will have to be some changes of the human mindset in accepting some of the things that have been going on here. But there are solutions to everything, and if we handle this right, because these races that are in the fourth dimension and fourth density and fifth density of our system have come in the position where they acknowledge the fact that they are forced to stay here. And because of that, they are ready to do what's called trade. And I will just give it a little bit of overview, because this is some of the things I'm working with, the ones that work really close with me, and this is why we're going and negotiate with these races and talk with them and try to find solutions. And I'm not going to involve you in that work, because that's not what these videos are about. These are not about people grabbing their guns and begin doing stupid things on their own, because this is a matter of council level between the races that are here and the races in parallel systems, and everybody who has a thing to say about preserving this genetic library. So this is a matter of big concern for everybody. And one of the first takes on it is that, of course, the other races around us in the other systems are, to the best of their abilities, trying to give us space to solve this on our own, because intervention is always a difficult thing. And intervention from some of these races from other systems out there, because of the genetic mix-up and impurity of the genetic strands that has unfolded down here, and for the basic understanding of preserving genetic library, which is wholesome genetic strands in the grid of our planet and our solar system and its reality fields, the fourth, fifth, and sixth density, where there are now races that do not belong there, and many of them have left already. The fifth density is more or less already gone from the old Sirian races, including the ones that did the Klondike sciences, and quite a lot of what I call the false light, but the ascended masters and these kind of things. They are in a process of leaving as we speak, because they don't belong here. They were allowed to work here for a period of time, and that contract is done, because they only had a cycle where they could do work here, and that's why they've been very active since 2000 to get as much out as they could. And now they got what they needed, they replicated and have done their work there from the fifth density and down. So they are now leaving, and new Sirian races are coming in, as well as new types of Pleiadians. But that's a whole other issue that has to be dealt with later on. We also have the fourth density, where we have got a lot of what's called the clans, and these are the colonizers of other terrestrial races that have come in. So the take is that part of this is, first and foremost, to make this an even solution base for everybody in this reality. The third, which are the human race. The fourth, which are the clans, and the clans are primarily insectoid, and there are also others, a bit snake, but most a bit reptilian as well, but most of them are actually insectoids: mantids, crickets, grasshoppers, spiders, all sorts of flying bugs and weird stuff, which we will get more acquainted with, even though most of these will, because of the things that are going on, will shed off their old form, because they can be quite intimidating, because we're not talking about little mantids or little crickets, we're talking quite big, and shed that off and take their cricket personality and integrate it into the mammal form, and in that continue the evolution on this planet as part of this form. That's been part of the hybridization programs. So this will be a fact. So we are not going to fight crickets and mantids and crack their necks and these kind of things, but we're actually going to face them in the years to come, within 20 years, inside humans. And that will be part of the new human races that are going to continue in this reality field. And no, this involves so many different things for all of us, and there are so many complications of this. I don't know where to begin or where to end. I'm just saying that we have some challenges ahead of us. And there are factions pro and there are factions against how to do this the best way, and how to make this either a peaceful transformation or a very violent one. And that's what you're seeing that's going on outside. These different clans and their different members are working with different solutions, because, as I said, quite a lot of the clans, they came here after the Orion Wars. And you need to look at the Orion constellation and stop seeing it as the huntsman, but actually look at it and see it really looks like a cricket or a spider, because it's an insectoid system. Yes, in their fifth density, they have more human-looking races, but that's because they merged with the Sirian genetics, and in that had continued evolution into a more human-looking appearance. But these Orion races, they are not here yet, but they will come. And when they come, that will bring some other problems with it. So as a humanity in this solar system, we are now getting ready to expand our awareness of what a reality is, how our world functions, that the races are not living out there, they are already here and has been here all along. Okay, so that's my take. That's why we need to educate ourselves and find peaceful solutions first. And one of the ways to go around this is to teach humanity of what's actually going on. The third density races, which are us. We need to understand what's actually going on, and I'm taking part of that. And that is why I choose this way to explain it, because there are other things going on. And I want to do let's bridge first. Let's do the bridging first, and then we will figure out where that will take us. Okay, so the fact is there is a fourth density connected to our solar system. There is a fifth and there is a sixth, and it's been there all along. From the sixth, it bridges into possibilities of 7 and up to 12. These are still just possibilities because they have not been used for quite some time. When you have the third density, it has the molecular level, which is the organic one. It has the atomic level, which are the atoms, which consist of a neutron, a proton, and an electron. 3 bits, and that's the third dimension energy. 3 combinations, 3 units that goes together and create not what you've seen as a little round ball, but a field of a specific type of energy that is capable of expansion, which is the spatial energy. So that's all the third dimension is, expansion or evolution, if you like. So that's the basic energy in all systems, and it's just meant to be the basic energy. It's not meant to be the prime energy. The prime energy that is bridged into the third dimension is the fourth density, and that is where the original organic forms were supposed to unfold in all terrestrial systems, which they do all other places than ours. Okay, so, and why this is, forget about the whys, doesn't matter. Look at what is here now, because if you want me to explain all of the whys, we don't get to the issues that are here now. And there are so many, as I said, there are so many timelines on this planet and so many layers of history that I can go on for hours and hours and hours and hours about the history, but that will not take us up to what's happening now. And that is where we should focus. So forget about the history. That is a kind of a little bit of a distortion, because if you begin just looking at the past, you're not seeing what's happening in the now, and you will not be truly able to continue into what will happen in the future. And for you who are doing this out there, the schooling of you to know enough of the past, to use the past energetically to alter the future, is something we can look into when we have solved the issues that are coming up and are in the making now. So I'm just saying right now we need to focus on what is here now and not look so much back, because that we can do later on, and then we can select which pasts we want to continue having as a collective memory, as a race, and which pasts that go into specific type of code streams we don't want to have, and erase them from our racial memory and our genetic library, and with that dissolve all the genetics that goes with these type of pasts, because they will not help us as a race. So I'm very focused on what will help us as a race, as how we have been turned into what we are today. And I'm literally saying that because some of us has been re-engineered, I'm not saying me, but some of us been re-engineered with what is called the draconian strand. And the past that goes with that genetic memory, we don't want to revive that. So we have to be very careful of what pasts we are looking into, because as the fourth dimension gets into its natural state in our reality, our genetics that we have got in our body will begin to spark to life, and with that the memories. And a memory, a conscious memory from alien genetics, which are the natural genetics, by the way, of all races in our universe and all and beyond. When they spark to life and connect to the correct type of energy, which is the code stream in our grid, these memories can be activated. And when the memories are activated, they activate the reality they came from. That's a whole other way of working with history. It's not just by reading it in a book. It's actually interactive, going right there, participating in that history and in that linking up to it. And that has been some of what the CETAs have been working with here and the Super Soldier programs. And we have to be very, very careful not to do that. So this is also some of the implications where you need to be schooled and trained in not being too curious. Because curiosity killed the cat, literally. And it will take us into pasts that we are not interested in bringing into this library. And I can say it as it is now. I'm working very hard to figure out a way to avoid this. But the races that are out there are very concerned. The other races, the benevolent ones that have grown out of this system, and in that are kind of linked back to it, are very concerned about these type of genetics, especially the draconian one that has been inserted into quite a lot of humans. And these are the ones that you typically see as the very tall and big humans. It's typically interpreted as the Anunnaki. That's the draconians. If this strand gets activated and people cannot keep their curiosity in check and cleanse themselves out of these memory genetic link up, we will have to remove these genetics from people, and we are already in the making of doing so. Or we will have to contain humans with that type of genetics. That means control their memories, which I am not in for. Or if everything goes totally wrong, literally ensure that that specimen, and I'm very careful with my wording here, that specimen will do no harm to nobody. So we are not looking into benevolent races coming to save us. We are looking into some very difficult issues for all involved in this genetic library. So there are things that we need to be mindful of as a human race. One of the first things we have to learn, which is very, very important, is that we can be emotional, but we have to learn to control our aggressive genomes. And that's because most of this aggressiveness goes into timelines of the past, of some of the warrior races that came here after the Orion Wars, and they tap into the Orion Wars. So that is also some of the things we will have to deal with. And that is why the new races that are coming in are all pro-modification programs and controlling of the human body because of the genetics we've got inserted. So I think you get a little bit of glimpse of it's not just about activating and getting consciousness and abilities and becoming clairvoyant. It's actually a huge problem because of the mess the military made. And I'm saying that some of the military people that have done this were under the influence of either Cetas or some insectoid races from Orion. And these are typically what I call the crickets, and they are warriors. And these crickets were very interested in the draconian ships that are littered all over our planet and have tried very hard to revive most of them. And I'm just saying a draconian craft in itself, when it lies there, just there in the 4th density, or hidden in the ground in the 3rd, it emits a sort of vibration, and that vibration is so negative that in contact with it, it changes you because it's constructed on what's called infection technology. And that means when you touch it, you change. You literally, all your genetics, just talking about it makes me, it literally changes you into something entirely else. So we have to genetics are not just about happy, fluffy thing. But the reason why it has been presented as such is because of the Sirians that have their very strong modification programs. So the ones that are working with them are always linking them up to a soul matrix and a hive mind, and from that control their evolutions. And the Sirians have issues in their own system with superiority issues and arrogance and things like that. So they have been very focused on the Pleiadian genome in this current vessel, and trying to teach their own races a different approach of things, a more peaceful one, because the Orion Wars, the Sirians were part of some of the things that they don't want to revive. So I'm saying that the programs that's been going on down here have all been part of trying to solve some issues in their home systems, which they couldn't do there because of the 4th density features where consciousness affects energy directly. So that is one of the reasons why we got the 3rd density, because they lowered it to such an extent that we could work within these programs with the consciousness and the memories, clearing them out without them manifesting in the outer reality. I will just leave it at that. That's why we've been lowered to this state. That's why the mammal vessel has been changed, so they could solve some of the issues of the past. And that's why some of these genetic strands got inserted. But I will say the draconian one specifically comes from the Cetas, because they were very interested in reviving that one, because they are, as I call them, shit race. So I am, even though I'm very diplomatic and trying to be very peaceful, I got a warrior in me as well, and that pops up from time to time. I will try to keep it in check, but some of the negative factions that are here, which came with the Cetas and some of them from Orion and the Orion Wars and these kind of things, they are here luring in the background, and they are present today because some of the information I'm going to talk about here are from some of their clan members. And the clan members from Orion are under control of these negative warring races from Orion. These warring races are called the oppressors, and the clan members are kind of oppressed by them, and they are solving this by trade. And some of the races that are here and wants to go into the mammal vessel and become part of the human evolution as we know of it today, the 3rd density evolution that will go into the 4th, they are trying to reach out to humanity, and this is some of the things I'm working with, trying to find solutions about that. But it's difficult because they have been using the mammal vessel as all of the other races that have been here, and you will learn to understand that the reason for this is that since we have not been consciously awake and has been in this kind of content state of just being satisfied with material goods and procreation and food and entertainment, they have felt that they have given us what we asked for. And since humanity has not asked for more, or really wanted more, but were quite content with the different programs that have been created for humans here. They felt that they have done what the humans asked them to do, and in so have obliged to their obligation of being a superior race, which is totally BS. But that is how they see it. And when we talk about these kind of things, we have to see it from both angles. And I'm trying to teach them what is okay and what is not okay. So this is part of the ongoing process. And that is what is going on from the other races outside in other systems that are coming in as well. Not just the fifth density Syrians, but other races are coming in as well. And that is all the things that we need to figure out to solve. So this is where there's so much information going on, because there's so many different solutions to how to do this. Because as I said, humanity as it is now is literally under different jurisdictions and different races. And you got the past, and you got the present, and you got the future, and you got races from the future that are coming back to prevent some of the things that could happen here. So they are coming in and meddling with things, and we got races from the past that has been revived, that should have stayed dead. They are now activated because of the military actions going on down in this system, reviving these genetics and implementing them into humans, and literally having war programs under the CETAs. Activating these timelines, which were part of the War Super Soldier programs, pulling it our way. And in that, you got some of the current Orion warriors that are here as well, and in Orion too. So it's not just about Earth, it's about a universe. And it's not just about humanity, it's about multicultural races in our universe. And we have to solve these issues. And the whole thing that is kind of surfacing this in a kind of pushing raid is because, as I've said since 2007 or something, that this, if we don't solve these issues, this library will be reset to its natural state in 2065, and that will reset everything. So there are, that means that the ones that will continue to exist in this system and this universe, not the universe, but this system after 2065, they will have to have modified themselves into a fourth density to sixth density capacity to be able to continue to exist here. So that is pressuring us all a little bit to find solutions. So this is not doomsday or anything. These are the natural cycles of all systems, as I've said many, many times. And I'm trying to educate you to wrap your head around it so you know what you're dealing with, so you can make the right decisions. So this is my purpose of this. This is to educate you so you can make the right decisions, because nobody can make an evolution for anybody. Nobody will come in and upgrade you and save you. These have been part of the programs of some of the races that have been here using what's called hosting, and I will make a video on that on its own. And that has been kind of a false agenda. So nobody will lift you into this. You have to work your way into this, and you have to work your way into this with the genetic composition you have got now, with its pros and its cons. The genetic composition you have and how you work with that consciousness when it begins to spark to life, and how that affects your current form and your consciousness, and that little tiny type of soul that were there from the very beginning, which has not been developed either. So, and that is why I just used the word soul. I will make a video on souls and what that is in a video on its own as well, because that's a whole science on its own. So let's just work with that. We have got a humanity now that has got a specific type of personality. That personality has its ups and its good sides and its bad sides. And mostly it is highly underdeveloped. So that I'm trying to make up for here. And there are different approaches to do this. There is the ones that go down in energy and try to explain things from scratch, and then there's the ones that go up to the highest level and just do things up there. And I'm typically the one that says up here, and then I want you to work to get up there, and I've been trying to do so. and I will continue to do so. So these videos I'm making here are one of a kind. I'm taking my time to go down in energy to explain this to you, and then I will go back up, because from my perspective, and that's very, very important, if you want respect from the races that are here, if you want to be honored as a sovereign race, you have to develop. You cannot stay the type of human you are now. You cannot be a sheep. You cannot stay asleep. You cannot rely on the information of others. You cannot trust what is being given to you. You cannot, as a child, let others do the work for you. You cannot lean back and expect anybody to save you. You cannot just study material and not walk the path. You have to walk the talk. You cannot expect yourself to be upgraded by the energies that are coming in. That is not going to happen. Okay? So you need to take responsibility for yourself. You need to take responsibility for your emotions. And you need to take responsibility for your mind, what you think. And you need to take responsibility for your body. And I will give a little bit of hint here and there, but these are the beginning points, are quite simple. Videos on their own for that. And then you will have to understand that what you perceive as reality, what you perceive as scientific facts, what you perceive as the truth, what you perceive as information being given to you from other humans is the fact, and that's how it is. You have to change that perspective. It's just showing that you're underschooled. Because if you just do normal science schooling and you go deeper into scientific understanding, you will understand that science today do not work with objective truths. They work with theories and processes, and this is the current state of things, and this is how we see it now. But we know the more we work with it, it will change, and new things will surface, new processes of this information will surface. Quantum science is not just that, then it's there, it's a process. It's a process of understanding the depths of our reality, the different features of our reality. And the problem why science has not gone further than it has is because it's been limited not to look beyond the third dimension. But that will change in the years to come, and then with it, we'll change it with the new technology which is already here. And with that, the human mind will be more open to or receptive to different forms of higher density forms of realities. And that will come slowly in the making. So it's your brain structure right now is extremely rigid, and it's rigid because it's controlled within a specific frequency band between 0 to 30 hertz. Nothing more than that. And that goes with the frequency of the rainbow. And whenever you see a rainbow there, that's actually a little sign from some of the factions that are working with this controlling mechanism of the human brain. I'm just saying there are signs everywhere. I will go into this as well later on. And those of you who have been doing this for a while, you know out there that everybody's talking about you are being given the information, because that's one of the laws of all systems. You have to tell people what's going on. Another law is that if you give a gift, people have to and they accept it, they have to take the consequences with it. And because of that law, I'm saying to you, if someone offers you something for free, deny it. Because these are some of the races that are tricking you to make them invite you in, and when you have invited them in, they are allowed to possess you. So I'm just saying there are so many levels of this I want to educate you in. And to do that, I need you to be not fearful. I need you to be a grown-up in this. I'm addressing you as a grown-up, and I need you to respond as a grown-up. And that's why you haven't been given this information so clearly and so directly before, because everybody is afraid of how the children, the humanity, will respond to it. But things are kind of getting a little bit out of control already because there's so much information and people are getting frustrated. The frustration level on this planet is growing. And that frustration are making certain groups and certain clans see their little opening to begin some warring. And in that beginning, implementing a specific type of consciousness into the third dimension. And I want to prevent that from happening. So I'm also asking of you not to give energy to what creates fear, not to give energy to what creates aggression, and not to give energy to open up to some of the ancient timelines that goes into warring thinking. I'm being very, very specific here, and that's very, very important. You learn to control your minds and emotions. That's the first step in this work. So when we're talking about what are you to do as a human, you need to learn to control your mind and emotions. If you can feel your anger energies are rising or negative energies rising, you learn to control your heart field and balance it out and levels it down, and just you can use the love and light, just see it as light and just calm down. That's all. Just calm down quickly. So that's one of the first steps you have to learn. You have to control your energy. And I'm getting interference here because now when I'm talking, I'm looking into things. And when I look to things, I give it energy. And I have to learn to stop doing that as well. So that's why I prefer not to talk about these things, because my energy has now grown so strong. My consciousness has grown so strong that when I focus on things, I give it tremendous amounts of energy. And I don't want to do that. So as I said in the whole Higher Awareness Lifestyle channel, stop reading the news. Just look at the headlines. That's all. Don't read the articles, and please don't look at advertising or news headings or whatever's put out there. Just get into your face from the computer, because everything is coded in with a specific type of energy right now that is setting specific emotions in play. So this is also why I'm saying this. There has been opened some code streams in the skies, literally, that goes back to some of the wars of the 1500, and that's done for a specific purpose. So the energies are very tense right now. Okay, I will not give that more energy. So that is why I'm avoiding talking about this, because my consciousness and my connection to code streams and my genetic makeup and the age of this vessel and the genetics I have go so far back that I can literally tap into whatever, and if I do so, I activate it. So I have to be mindful of my consciousness and my mind as well. There's no way around it. It goes with everybody. And that's why races in the fourth density and up are using trade as a mean to avoid issues, as a mean to avoid tapping into unfortunate genetic strands, trying to control the genetics they have got. And in that, we also have some of the issues of the hybridization and the cloning on humans here, because some of these races have literally tried to solve their own aggressiveness and the wars they have had in their system, because they have realized that that has led to their own demise. So these are just some of the issues with the genetics we are carrying, and that is where against our free will, because the original Pleiadian Sirian mammal vessel was actually not created for any of this. We have been re-engineered to carry strands of some of these very unfortunate things. And that means that we as humans will have to learn to take much more care of each other and help each other to be mindful about how we are. And that is where you get all of the mindful teachings. And I'm still saying the love and light, that's part of some of the races that had some very unfortunate wars in their system. And they literally have used the programs down here to try to create energy so they could harvest this energy from the mammal vessel and put it into their own fourth density and fifth density forms, and from that replicate it and take it back home, and from there continue as more peaceful evolutions. Because most of the races that are in our system find themselves to be better. They got racial pride, and they don't see this mammal vessel as something they want to participate in. So that is some of the issues we are struggling with as well, that we have been manipulated and re-engineered into something that would function for these races, for their purposes, without really facing the consequences of their actions and what they have done to the genetic library. So that is why we got higher levels coming in and literally scolding these races and telling them that their what is called transgression rate for their actions down here is not going on unseen, and that has some repercussions, but that is done on the 4th and 5th density level, and that is for most humans out of their capacity to understanding this. So I'm just saying we are not alone. There are a lot of solutions in the making, but there are rules around how this can unfold. And these are the rules that are made between and amongst the human races and the humanoid races a very, very long time ago, to ensure that the humans and the humanoids would not repeat the ancient wars that has taken place in the universes of this quadrant. So that goes with trade. And that goes with trade again, in that this vessel was kind of built upon the structure of the original humans on this planet, in this terrestrial system. And that was given for these humanoid races, and some of the Sirians are reptoids, so they are humanoids, even though they look human, that were given to them as an attempt to trade another peaceful solution to avoid new wars, because the Sirian had gone into some issues in their own system, which is in the future, amongst the reptilians of their own race. Reptoids, reptilian, they do regress into reptilians. The terrestrial races are sometimes reptilian, that's Sirian as well. And which is kind of, yeah, you got the Ascended Masters, but actually their own civilizations are mainly reptilians in the lower levels. So that's the funny part. Yeah, it's funny. Some reptilians can be peaceful, by the way, but that's if they got high level of inserted Pleiadian genetics. So again, stop looking at the outer, you have to begin looking into the genetic structure. And those of you, what are she talking about genetics? Is it consciousness? Is it organic? What is it? In the 4th density and up, your genetics in the physical form links directly up to consciousness. Therefore, genetics in the 4th density and up are consciousness infused. It's only down here that our genetics, the 3rd density genetics, are based upon electromagnetic energy and controlled by the electromagnetic brain. And that, as I said, was done to control the non-creational powers, so that whatever was processed in the high levels of genetics in the energy system around the mammal form would not be manifested. Okay? But that will change. So I'm just giving you a little bit of here and there, and information here and there. And for some of you, this is difficult information to comprehend and take in. And I will do a lot of videos where I explain as much as possible. But as I said, this is once in a lifetime I'm doing this, because it takes a lot of my energy to go down so much, because I have to explain everything, and it's yeah, I've got other things to do. Sorry. So I'm always making choices. What's the best thing to do here? Anyways, I'm doing this because I find it important, and I'm also doing this because right now I'm in the making of petitioning for creating a secondary type of human race where we solve this and try to create a part of humanity which will find peaceful solutions to all of this, so we can link back up to the councils of the other reality fields around us, and in that begin collaborating with these races to find solutions to what's going on here. And that is because of the future implications of what is going on down here, and some of the obstacles we can meet if some of what I call the negative alien agenda, and that means the warring Orion races, if they get their say in things here. And if they get a say in things here, there will the Sirian races of the 5th density of our system, which links into the Sirius system, they will see it as their prerogative to go in and use controlling technology or modification technology to literally stop any things that can come from here which will affect the whole universe. And some of the Arcturian races, if they have their controlling ideologies as well. And they will come in with these kind of systems. And one of the ways to do so is, the Arcturians are actually one of the ones that have tried to control things using religion. But we've seen that that does not work well unless you go into the last form of real religion. And I'm not saying this in a positive way, but as a control mechanism, which is kind of Islam. So that's actually some avian genetics. It has a kind of purple hue when you look at it, the frequency it runs on. But oh, I'm giving too much information here. Not to create any hostility here. That's not my purpose. Because we have got races that are working behind some of the non-religious people around this planet, which are typically seen as highly industrial and highly money focused and has no religion whatsoever. And they are so severely controlled by AI and parasites and alien technology that you can barely call them humans, and they are actually 10 times worse than the ones that are influenced by emotional control systems such as religion. Okay, but again, all of these things have divided the humanity on this planet between these alien factions because they have issues in their own system and they're trying to solve it here. That's the best way I can put it. So I will leave it at this in this video. And I actually wanted to talk about the third dimension and fourth density and these kind of things, and then I got into the implications of a lot of things. So this video will just be about the implications of the things that we're going to do here. So I'm doing these videos. I'm not doing it to stir up your aggressive gene. This is not an invitation for provocation or actions or anger. This is not for you to begin rioting. We have to use the laws of trade first. And if we cannot solve these issues that we are seeing for the future human races and the races that are here, then we will be forced to go into war. And there are a lot of factions here that are pushing for that one. So I'm asking you to be very mindful of what you participate in energetically. Because these races in the fourth density, they want to take over humanity and bridge it into some of the Orion system that is not interested in trade anymore. They want to go the war path. And they are still trying to take over this universe and make it theirs. So those of you who have this tendency to be agitated and become activists and get very aggressive in it and fight for freedom, for humanity and fighting the oppressors and all these kind of things, you are setting out a beacon for a lot of problems that will be very difficult for us to solve. But I am not being mellow, because in my work with these races you have to be very firm, very strict, know the wordings correctly, knowing exactly what to say to avoid trickery, because all of the races that are here comes from a system that has a lot of issues. And they got a lot of ego issues. And they got a lot of racial pride. And that means that when we talk with these, we have to be very mindful of what we're saying. And we are not to give our consent to anything. And you have to stand very firm in your own grown upness, so they will respect you. And only if you get respect can you even begin the negotiations of trade. As long as they see you as a volatile, aggressive, childlike, emotionally unbalanced, and totally not knowing what's going on, they will not negotiate with you. It is beneath them. So in this you have to be strong-minded and strong-headed, and yes, you are allowed to have your emotions, because I use my emotions quite a lot. And because they don't like it, But at the same time, because I have regained my respect with these races for the actions I have taken and for the work I've done in the fourth dimension and so forth, and who I am and what I am. When I get emotional, they don't like it. So that is a weapon I'm using as well. So it's not that you're not to have your emotions, but you have to know your genetic composition, and if it's a tool you can use. If you have a high level of serine genetics, for instance, you will try to avoid these emotional outbreaks. But that's some of the issues. We will figure out our strengths and our weaknesses in this work that we are to do. In this work that I'm advocating for and my approach to things. And if you don't find this approach useful for you, you can join into many of the other voices that are out there right now, because this is not about right or wrong. This is about, you got a chessboard of a reality where you got different races and there are different approaches, and whatever genetic composition you have got attached to your bio-DNA will kind of steer you in one or the other direction. It will kind of lead you to what you resonate with the most. And that's the path you should follow. I'm not here to convince you that my path is your path, not at all. I am working for a little group of people that will join into this, trying to find peaceful solutions. But at the same time, we are also warriors. But that is some of the work I'm doing with the ones I'm working closely with that literally commit themselves to this work. And that takes so much schooling into what's actually going on here and how to solve this and how to work with this, that you have to work with it on a daily basis, and you literally have to let go of your normal human life in most ways and means and purposes, because the moment you truly get into seeing things from the fourth density consciousness, you will understand that the third dimension does not exist, the third density does not exist, and you will begin collaborating or literally trading or fighting the fourth density races that are already highly active inside this reality. I just leave that little moment there because they're already here. Okay, that will be the next video. Thank you.